Okay, today is Christmas Eve. Today's Christmas Eve, December 24th. It's a Wednesday, 5:31. 5:31 p.m. And I watch a lot of movies. I watched I watched a lot of movies. And when there's a movie that's very, very long, there is an intermission. Uh, and uh, and I suppose it borrows itself from like opera, right? A long time ago, there was like theater. Uh, People would congregate around uh, together and buy tickets because they didn't have any like recording and displaying equipment in the past. Uh, and so what they did was there would be like either a permanent location where people would be acting uh, and in front of people, and then there will be people who travel around uh, performing, right? Probably that's how circuses evolved. That is recorded in human history, and so uh, a long time ago, when I got divorced, when I got divorced, um, I somehow was recommended to see a psychiatrist, and uh, and so this psychiatrist, uh, uh, I think his name was like, what was his name? Um, I forgot what his name was. I think his name was I think his name was Doctor Yang or something like that, or something like that. And he was very, very expensive. And and then I sat there and we talk, but what I recollect was essentially I was in a bubble. I was in a bubble. And whatever he was saying, it was like he was dropping something into my bubble. It feels like it felt like he was dropping things like a an exam. So he wanted to take an exam. So I so it must have been some sort of like a questionnaire kind of thing. So it's terribly expensive. I would have like 1 hour sessions, and and we're talking about very, very expensive. Okay. As much as a lawyer. He was expensive. He was he was as much as expensive as a lawyer. Okay, and he would drop things. And then I'll shove it over this invisible bubble that I had. I had this bubble around me. I had this bubble, and he would drop things. And then we would communicate, but it would always be buffered. It would always be buffered, and so he was unable to get in touch with my uh, consciousness. He was not. He was unable to contact my consciousness and the subconsciousness. He was unable to. So it seemed like there was an inner child. There was an inner being that was like hiding inside this bubble. This this bubble, frail, scared, and intimidated by the world, right? So he was unable to reach me. He was unable. He would like clap, like he would do this, like gestures and things like that. I remember what he was trying to do, because he knew after a few sessions what impairment that I had. Okay, so when a psychiatrist diagnoses a person, there are a couple of things that can occur. Okay, there are three things. One of them, the person is normal and it exhibiting normal psychological behavior. Second is the person is physically, mentally declined. Okay, where there is no way to repair. Okay, there's no way to repair. Now here's the third one. Third one is the most interesting thing. There is a psychological disposition where a person enters and cages himself into a bubble due to the interactions from the external world, and encases that person inside the psychological mental bubble. Psychological bubble. Okay, I'm being redundant there. So there's this really funny movie called The Bubble Boy, right? It's so there's a it's funny. It's very funny. So apparently this this mother initially the baby had some sort of immune disorder, but as the years went by, this child overcame this immune disability and was able to live a normal life. But the mother, because she was also a psychologically disturbed person, kept her son inside this bubble from the outside world, caged in a physical plastic bubble for years. And it turned out, and then he decides to venture out in a mini bubble, right? And that's how the story works. But the reality is he was inside this bubble, okay? And then things would be passed in and out, okay? Through little passageways. And so it's very similar. It's very similar to living inside a car. Okay? It's very similar to living inside of a car. The car is the bubble. So then now this is Christmas Eve. This is the Christmas Eve, okay? This is Christmas Eve. Okay? This is the precise time when the three wise men, okay, walked towards the star in the heaven, where beneath the star there was this Jesus, okay, in a manger, okay? Precisely right now, they were walking right now at 5:40 p.m., okay? At 5:40 p.m., three wise men bearing gifts, okay, walked towards the star that was right above Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, the Savior of mankind, okay? So he is the Savior who broke mankind from living inside the bubble. He came upon earth to to explode the person out of the bubble. Okay? And precisely at this moment, that's what he was doing. And that's what these three wise men were doing. So then, uh, so then, so then today, I realized today something that is incredibly difficult to diagnose. Okay? It's incredibly difficult to diagnose. It's essentially diagnosing myself. Okay? It's like I exist and I know what impairs me, and then I was able to diagnose myself, right? I am able to diagnose myself, right? I am able to psychologically diagnose myself. And so, based on my analysis of my psychological makeup, I determined possibilities, out of those three possibilities, okay? One, I'm normal. I'm not normal. Definitely not normal. Two, my brain indeed was damaged, but now it has been repaired. Now it's third. Because of the mental damage that I've incurred throughout life, I was living in a mentally encased cocoon of psychological mental bubble. Okay. Then I thought to myself, and I go on YouTube, and normal people goes through these things, and psychologists talk about the inner child. Okay, there is this inner child. Psychologists talk about this thing called the inner child. There is an inner child. There is indeed an inner child within all of us. And that child is shaped and built within, okay, the interactions with the external world. All right. So what I've noticed about this inner child is that this child interacts, and the passageway between this inner child to the physical world and to the logical side is passing through being subconscious. This inner child is subconscious, it's hidden, but there are traces of the inner child being interacting with the external world, because there is a void of uh, certain type of reactions that I need to provide based on certain type of external stimulation. Because the logical side is scratching my head, is asking, hey, why did I not behave in a manner that is conducive to proper reaction? Okay, one of them is in trading, and I found this out through trading. Okay, how 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 like incredible this is. Okay, why is this so incredible? Okay, this street right here is called Elder. This is Elder right there. The street is called Elder right here. Physically, the street is called Elder. And there's this guy from Russia. And apparently he was a medical doctor. And he was on some sort of a military medical assignment. But he jumped, and then he came to the US and defected. Okay? He he is a psychiatrist. And then he wrote a book. He was dabbling in stock trading when he came to America. Then he wrote a book called what is it? What is it called? It says living, making a living from trading or something like that. So I read it, but I didn't understand everything because there were a few things that were that was like crowding my mind. It was crowding my mind. So he came to America. His name is Alexander Elder. Okay, see how those things connect? I don't know how that connects, but I'm here on the street. Okay, so I was mentioning this to so I was at work. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think yeah, I think it was yesterday. This coworker, young Catholic, is 19 years old, and I told him this. Monks monks have a unique perspective of the world because they're able to crowd out the external noise so that they can see themselves better. And after a while, they begin to see themselves. Okay? And they'll have a profound thing to say because they have been they have excluded all the noise so that they can properly make common sense of the world. Okay, and he chimes in and says, "Oh, do you know that my brother is like a monk?" Of course I do. You said that a long time ago. Okay, so so what I've noticed today is truly very profound. And I know why. I know why it has. See, people on YouTube skirt around this thought. Okay, this people skirt around this kind of thing. Okay, because they haven't dug deeper into understanding the human psychology and how that human psychology interacts with the trading world and the trading environment. Okay, many of them are prone to this psychological conditioning that prohibits them from like learning. Okay, it prohibits them from learning, especially with the fact that the individuals especially for the fact that the individual is trading by themselves. Okay, it's like the movie The Lord of the Rings and Golem. Golem, it's like, see, the ring is money. Okay, the ring is money. Okay, in the Lord of the Rings, the ring is the money, and because Golem is so enamored with gold that he enters into this uh, bubble. Okay, he enters into this bubble where I mean, he is fascinated. He is, uh, he is psychologically embedded to the ring because it means so much to him. He is fast. He is like that's life for him. Okay, and so what do you call it? So it's I know that word, but I can't spit it out yet. he is he is just obsessed. He's obsessed with the ring. Okay, he's obsessed. All right. Okay, and so um then uh then the main character takes this ring. There's a final climax where Golem and what's his name fights, and then the ring goes into the volcano, right? What's the main character's name? Anyway, so they fight, and then Golem chases it into the lava, and they both like they both melt away, right? So Frodo, his name is Frodo. Okay, um, so so the ring represents money. Okay, and what I've noticed about my own my own assessment of cataloging my own behavior is that I would categorize, but I wouldn't know how to explain it away because I was not equipped to explain my condition. I was not able to explain away my psychological conditioning. So the fact that 99% of the people who are not profitable are suffering from this condition, okay? This 99% of the 99% of the people who are failing from trading are have been inflicted just like just like uh yeah, what's his name? Remember, in the times of the Bible, there were a lot of people who were like infected, where their skins fall off and stuff like that, right? So these people were infected. People, we are infected because we're like we have this. We're like slowly polishing this gold because in hidden away because we know how precious money is. Okay, money is so precious to the world. And so 99% of people are quietly inside taking whatever they have, they're polishing it. And then but they they do something in the market, but they lose it because because there is a psychological conditioning that causes people to fall into, and they don't know it. They don't know anything about it, and they don't know how to fix it either. Okay, there's two things that's going on. One, uh, they know something's going on. They know something is going on, but they can't do anything about it. Okay, that's the infliction. Okay, and they can't fix it because they don't know how to fix it. Okay, that's two. Okay, they know what it is, and so I heard about this guy. I heard about this guy. Apparently, his dad was trading in the market. Okay, his dad was trading in the market, and what happened was, and he lost everything. He lost everything, and was doing it for years and years and years and years and years. Okay, and uh, he studied the market and he figured out how to make the market. Okay, and so he was able to change the tide in his thinking. Okay, and so he was able to figure out what his problem was and fix it. Okay, so apparently he talked to this guy who used to be a lawyer, quit being a lawyer and became a day trader, and then together they opened up a company together, right? So there is this psychological behavior that are rampant in even in see, this is known, but you can't fix it so easily. Even in group chats, there's plenty of people who are like they're they're inflamed in their uh uh addiction. They are addicted. Okay, they are addicted to trading. They're addicted to gambling, and so they cannot break this bubble. There's a bubble called addiction. There's a bubble. It's a single word. It's so simple, but it's a word that defines the psychological condition of the person. And it is called the addiction. And that addiction blocks people from doing what they're supposed to be doing because they spend their time exploring their chemistry inside their mind. There is a chemical cornucopia of things that are going on inside the human being that causes the person to be in a state of stasis. Okay, a state of not changing. It is a condition that blocks the person from seeing the world through clear eyes. Okay, everything is skewed. All right, and so what happens is the person has to become conscious of the person's condition and figure out a way to fix it. Okay, it is it is just it's difficult to reach out in an infinite space to grasp onto that concept and grab it and explore it and understand it because it could be anywhere. It's displaced in an infinite positioning. It's like trying to predict what the location of an electron inside inside an atom because it moves around. Okay, it moves around. All right, it's excited. It moves around. So what I've noticed today about my own conditioning, and how did I deduce this? How did I figure this out? Okay, how did I figure out? So there's this very the world's richest. Apparently, he's not the richest man yet. Okay, but publicly speaking, out of his own development, Elon Musk is the richest man on earth based on Forbes magazine. Others are based on family and certain types of situations, right? Based who are much richer than the Elon Musk is, but Elon is the richest man on earth. Okay, so he talks about, okay, are we living in a simulation? Okay, he's talking about, okay, so are we living in a simulation? Uh, so when I think about that, it is okay. He's mentioning something that is very profound. He's saying that are we living in a simulation? If I am living in a bubble, I am living in a simulation. If I live in a bubble, I am a simulation because anything that's inside is a subset of what the external world is. And so it is cased inside a simulation. That simulation is called key. I am the simulation inside this bubble. And everybody lives in a bubble. Everybody lives in a bubble. To an observer in a comic book, there's a character called the Observer. The Observer is able to see, but he's also living in a bubble. But he is able to see other bubbles and look peer inside because he is the observer. But he himself is the bubble. There is this little tiny baby that was born in a manger, okay? Born in a manger were these three wise men. Now he is the ultimate bubble because he doesn't live in a bubble because he is the creator. He is God. He is Jesus Christ. Okay? So how did I figure out? How did I figure out that I was in this condition? Whereupon this I believe it was like $250. I was paying $250. I had to drive like I had to drive like five. I must have. I had to drive like 10 miles to go to his office, and then 10 miles to come back. Okay, so it took me like almost 40 minutes to go there to see the psychiatrist in Arizona. Sit there for an hour, spend $250 for that an hour. Okay, while I was making what? I was making a lot of money back then, but not much. I was making maybe $25 an hour, okay, as an engineer, and I was giving him $250. And then it took me 40 minutes to come back. And the amount of gas that I was spending on a Ford Bronco 5.8 liter, okay, that's a lot of money that I was just tossing away. But he was not able to reach me. He was not able to. He was not able to burst my bubble, even though he was being paid $250 an hour. So, so then how did I figure this out? Okay. See, that's why journaling is so important in trading. Journaling, journaling is there are so many important things in trading, okay? There are so many important things in trading. There's so many important things. So many very, very important things. Journaling is number one. You have to journal. You have to have it. Backtesting is so important too. Backtesting is so important because they're equally important. It's very, very important. Okay. Journaling. Okay. Journaling. And then backtesting. Okay. Stop loss is so important. Stop loss is so, so important. It is so important. Okay. And a strategy is so important. Strategy is so important too. Okay. You have to have all these very, very important concepts. All right. That's what trading is. So when people who are a professional trader and many of them don't even know, many don't even know because they just somehow figured it out, but they haven't crossed these very very important lessons in trading. So when you ask them, they'll say, "Hey, well, I do this," because they bypass certain lessons in trading, which was very difficult to achieve. But for somebody like myself, who are prone to these things, who was not able to find success on a quick basis and on a repeated basis, are facing all these very, very difficult lessons that 99% of the people on earth suffer from. They suffer from this psychological conditioning. And it's, in a very, very simple word, I was an addict. I was an addict. Okay? Here's what addiction does. And I was trying to figure this. I was like, hey, I've been trading for 5 years. Okay? I have been trading for 5 years. And I can't, and I'm still like doing things that I did like 5 years ago. And I couldn't explain it. I couldn't explain why that was happening. So I have been working at a restaurant, a West Side Drive-In, and the owner comes by and says, "Hey, you've been working here for 5 years." And I looked at him, I go, "Oh, have I been here too long? Am I fired?" Because I know that I'm so deficient. I am, and I'm so grateful. Okay, I am so, so, so grateful. So it's been 5 years, and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, I shouldn't be doing that at 5 years. It's been 5 years. It's been 5 years. I shouldn't be doing that kind of I shouldn't be making that kind of mistake. And I should have, it was plenty of time. 5 years is a plenty of time to understand practically anything in this world. Anything. 5 years is, even after 10,000, tens of thousands of trades, I should know what to do and what not to do. It's plain as day. I should be able to see that, but I could not. But I could not. And I attribute that to this conditioning called addiction. It's an addiction. It's a doozy. It's a doozy, I tell you. It's a doozy. I I chain smoked cigarettes for 10 years and I finally quit. It took me 10 years, but I was trying to quit for I was trying to quit. I was trying to quit smoking for like 2 of the last years and it was so difficult. It was somehow miraculously God allowed that to happen. God allowed that to happen. I was at a gas station. It's a stinker gas station, and was it a stinker? It has it has a dinosaur kind of thing. Okay, I don't think it was a stinker. Was it a stinker? I don't know. So this young lady was there, and I told her I was buying a cigarette, and I said, "Boy, I want to quit this. I want to quit smoking cigarette." And she says to me, you see that cigarette right there?" She says, "It's called the American Spirit. And if you smoke that, you'll quit immediately." And the reason she says is this: because the filter is so thick, you can't take a drag on it. It's so difficult, and you'll quit immediately. Sure enough, like a few weeks later, I quit. So God allowed that to happen. So so even in trading, I noticed about I noticed about this by myself. So I have a trading buddy who's profitable. Okay, I'm not profitable, and we communicate, but we cannot communicate. We communicate, but we cannot communicate because I'm not at his level. I am not at his level, so I don't understand him. Okay, he's he understands something that I don't understand because I am addicted. I can't there's a wall between him and me, and it's called an addiction. I cannot jump over this addiction to talk in a manner. That's why they call it the train tracks. Some people are on the other side of the train tracks, right? So that's why gorillas, even though Tarzan came of gorilla, cannot join society because there is a there is a barrier. There's a barrier of entry. There's certain criteria that needs to be met like Saturday Night Live, right? There's a Saturday Night Live sketch where apparently this anthropologist doctor is holding a presser, right? He's holding a press conference, and then he was able to teach this monkey how to speak. Okay, this 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 anthropology doctor was able to teach this monkey how to communicate in human dialogue, right? And so the monkey gets on the mic, and the first statement he says is, he. You have to watch it to see how funny that is. Anyway, so this trading buddy of mine and I are unable to communicate because there's a I have a I have a bubble. It's called the addiction. And whatever he says is bounces off like the Earth's atmosphere. Certain things when it hits it, and certain things like small asteroids, it'll just bounce right off and veer right out of space because it's dense. Okay, it's like throwing a rock on the surface of the water. Okay, you throw it, it bounces. That's what happens. And so I had this bubble. It's called the addiction. It's an addiction. It's a doozy. And so what happens is the biggest problem with addiction is that any useful information skirts out of my consciousness and bounces off and goes off in a tangent. But when a useful information is about face, right in the face, and the face just jams itself into and bypasses the addiction and holds, then I am able to make a conscious uh, awareness of that protrusion into the bubble. And I'm able to, like the movie Alien, right? You know the movie Alien? Do you know the analogy of the alien that I'm talking about? Okay? The Alien, the movie Alien with Sigourney Weaver, right? There's a family of movies that were made, okay? And so the alien has two mouths, okay? One of them opens up and there's a smaller one that goes whap. It protrudes. Just like Mike Tyson. Look at this. I mean, when he's shadow boxing, when he shadow boxes, he's just like this, within a bubble. And then when he gets into that ring, he'll let out that uppercut and goes bam. Okay? He has a statement. He coined a statement is life is funny until you get punched in the face. Bam! Right there. Uppercut. All right? That's what it is. So he's in a bubble, and then all of a sudden, uppercut comes over and goes wham! All of a sudden, you wake up like 5 hours later on the canvas. Maybe 10 hours later, okay? So there is this thing called the bubble. There's this thing called the bubble, and many people suffer from it. Many people, 99% of people suffer from it. Those people who are truly the one percenters, they figure this out. They figured this out. They were able to unzip that bubble, okay? Unzip that bubble and headed towards. That's why there's only 3 wise men, okay? Because they knew. They burst out of their bubble, so they walked towards the manger underneath the star, okay? And then saw to bear gifts to Jesus Christ. Because they burst out of the bubble, because they knew, they were able to recognize, they were able to see, okay? So they knew, they were, okay, if they, the 3 wise men were day traders, they will be a successful day trader. The 3 wise men would be successful day traders, okay? Because they knew, all right? And so how did I know? How did I figure this out, okay? How did I figure this out? I kept seeing these things, this subconscious behavior that I was not able to like tie into something, right? And then I wasn't able to see it. Okay, I was not able to see. And then one thing just hit me. One thing that hit me. The problem with addiction is that you never grow out of that situation. You never grow out of the situation. And that impediment, which is the wall, was blocking me from growing as a trader, because that that growth can only occur if I defeat the addiction. Okay? If I beat the addiction, that's the only way for me to overcrowd that bubble, expand my bubble so that I can make room for growth in trading. And so what I've noticed is that I was like sleeping in my car just a few minutes ago, okay? And it's like 52 degrees. If it was any colder, it was raining. If it was any colder, I would be knee deep in snow. All right, right now. And I was sleeping, and it was a little bit warmer, so I was able to like push back this cold symptoms that I've been having. Okay, and I was able to get a decent amount of sleep, and the warmth that I've created around my blanket was keeping me a bit comfortable. Okay, and I was able to position myself to make this connection between the addiction that I have and the push towards understanding more and more about trading. And I was trying to figure. I was like, why is it that I know what I need to do, but I can't do it? Why is that? I know what I need to do. I know precisely what I need to do. I know precisely what I need to do in order to be profitable. I know it. I know it, but I can't do it because what's happening is that the addictive personality is suppressing it. It is de-energizing my motivation to do something. It is like that. I was Thanks to my ex-wife, and I'm truly grateful. Um, had I been living in a bubble, I would never have experienced this kind of situation in life. It is living life. I was divorced, I was unemployed, and I had to pay child support. I couldn't, so I spent 1 month in jail, right? So I was in a bunk, upper bunk, and this guy comes over, and this guy, I mean, his eyeball was not moving. So imagine this. It's like the eyeball was like eyelids were open, but the eyeball was in there, but it was looking straight ahead, and it was like just like a pair of ears. It didn't move this way or that way. It looked like it was dead. It was like a I was looking into a zombie eyes. And apparently he was addicted. And so nothing in his world will be able to be communicated. Nothing. That's an impairment that the person has self-induced because the person is addicted to drugs. Okay. And so for me, now how did I figure this out? I figured out this. Okay. I should be making improvements, and I'm telling myself after 5 years, I'm still doing certain things that I should not be doing. Just like playing chess. I've been playing chess for since I was playing chess since junior high school. Okay? So that was like 15. So I was playing chess for 40 years, but I never grew out of it. I never grew out I never grew into a more sophisticated chess player because I was just circling around in this knowledge base that I have, which is called a bubble. Okay? And now when somebody says, "Oh, hey, do you know the French opening? Do you know the London opening? Do you know the Tien kettle positioning? You know all these things?" I don't, even though I've been playing for 40 years because I never studied it. I just played. Okay? That's what trading is like. That's what trading is like. You can be 100% satisfied losing money for the rest of your life and you'll be perfectly happy. Okay? Because you're addicted to the conditioning of trading. Because you never want to break out of that conditioning in order to make money and be a profitable trader. That's what I was in. That's where I was in for the past 5 years. That's what I've been doing. But I need to make money, okay? I have to. So I have to figure this out. And I was like, I was like punching through, pushing through. I was trying to figure this out. This bubble. I was ramming into it. I was trying to figure this out. And so the conditioning, that's so then I thought to myself, oh hey, uh, that's what's causing, that's what's holding me back. I can see why. Because I know, so now I've thought about this. Okay, so I trade this particular setup quite often, but I've never explored it. I never explored it with a back testing, and I never expanded upon the variability of that situation, because I have to know what the variability is. So if I have a support play, right, and trend reversals are very very difficult to do, but the risk is low, because it is at a point where a dramatic change will occur. But that dramatic change don't occur if I don't trade it right, and I could lose my shirt, because if I identify something as a support area, okay, I see it because somehow I saw it up to the left side. There's a support, but when it goes towards it, it could either bounce up or it could go right through. And when it goes right through, it'll just rush, and it's a dramatic area of trading. It's a zone of dramatic change. It goes from it also goes from one area where there is a strong tendency to move from one side to the other side. It moves, right? It moves. And so there's strength. Okay? And so I have to figure out what the variability of that positioning, and I have to condition myself so I can practice it and practice and practice. But I could never do that because I was tied up, and all my energy was expanded upon this addiction that I have, because all my energy, mental and physical energy, and my soul was preoccupied in polishing what the goal. See, in trading, there's golems. 99% of people who are failing are golems walking around. There's in the movie Lord of the Rings, there's only one golem, but you have to flip that around, okay? Everybody else is golem, okay? and Frodo is the only one, okay? So everybody's like polishing it. They're polishing it for years and years and years. Most people will go to their grave not knowing how to trade. 99% of people. So even in Discord rooms, okay, people who know how to trade, they talk. They talk, but they can't understand. Most people don't understand it. Most people don't understand it because they're afflicted with addiction. So if you go to a Discord, you're going to see 99% of people are rambling on, confused and losing, and they disclose how much they're losing because they haven't figured out this thing called addiction. Okay, they haven't. They'll keep doing it. My trading buddy told me that in his X Trade Discord, there's a guy who apparently lost $1 million in a week or something, or maybe a day, right? And he's talking about it. He's clearly addicted. He's clearly in a mode of inside the bubble of addiction. Okay, that's why you can't talk to people. That's why when people who have PhDs, okay, if you have a bachelor's degree and you go talk to a PhD guy, okay, when you talk to them, you can't talk to them. You can't talk to them. You can't talk to them because they are at a level where everything is like. I remember what my daughter told me. She was in kindergarten, not in kindergarten. She was in daycare, and my ex-wife said, "Okay, so if we put our kids in daycare, they they teach kids how to they potty train kids. Okay, that's what my ex-wife said. She's definitely a smart one. She's a keeper. I just couldn't see it because I was living in a bubble. Okay, I just could not see how wonderful she is. I just could not see it. Okay, I could not see it until she said, "Get the heck out of here! I'm divorcing you." And then it took me 23 years to figure out. Okay, so in daycare, what they do is they teach kids potty training. And so one day my daughter comes over and says, and then she says, "Diaper, okay, diaper, okay," and she starts laughing. Diaper. At her age, at that moment, The teachers have taught her to laugh at that situation. In her own world, in her age group, that is funny. For adults don't understand, okay? Adults don't understand that. People who are displaced from daycare kind of scenario, it's a foreign world. Can't understand it. But in that world, that's a language that operates, that works just like that. And so you got these people, so you can't talk. So the people who have PhDs, the people who have PhDs, they have so to them, somebody who has a bachelor's degree are they, they're just people who have a bachelor's degrees are just scratching the surface. You just can't understand it because they know something to a level of so sophistication when they communicate. When somebody is somebody has a PhD, they talk in a level uh, where many things in life makes at a level of a PhD of specific discipline because they've studied enough to understand on any subject matter that they know what's involved in order to bring it up to their understanding of being a PhD. And anybody who's not a PhD, they haven't dug enough or explored enough to understand the level of competency that's required to have a plaque, a certificate that says the person is a PhD. So when communicating, it's difficult to communicate. Okay? It's like talking to a monkey, a human being talking to a monkey. And the monkey's scratching his butt. And and the human being is wondering, oh yeah, okay, well that's nice, but we're eating dinner, okay? We're eating dinner. so so that's the kind of awkward situations you'll run into when you get into that scenario. So when you go, so these discords and somebody, there's a lot of people who say that. Well, I sold my house and I took that money, I put it in the market and I lost it. I sold this car and then I put it in the market and I lost it. For 8 years, I was working as a software engineer and I just tossed it in because it just happened. Okay. And years went by. Okay. 40 years, 50 years went by. I'm on my deathbed. I'm going, I still don't know how to trade. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. You know what it is? In America, there's this patriot, and he says this: "I want you. I want you. Okay, you. I want you. Okay, a patriot." So essentially, what's happening is on a psychological level, there's this just very, very simple word. It's called addiction. And that addiction causes people to be intertwined in a thistle, in a briar patch. It's like entering into Alice in a Wonderland. Okay, so I was working at this company called Micron, and there was a lead who's been there. He's obviously very good at it because he's been there for a very long time, and he says any subject matter that is very deep to understand um, is chasing a rabbit into chasing a rabbit into uh, it's a rabbit hole. Okay, rabbit hole is what Alice is going into. Okay, it's a maze. It's everywhere. It's laid out. That's why we could not defeat Vietnam. We were fighting the rabbits. Okay, they dug everywhere. You could carpet bomb like 4 feet of soil, topsoil. You could burn, singe off 4 feet of soil. You could never defeat them because they're dug in. So, 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 so that's the, so that, so how did I figure this out? I figured out. Okay, so I figured this out. Okay, so how did I figure this out? Okay, so I figured this. See, I should know what I should be doing, and I'm like saying to myself, "Hey, it's been 5 years. I should know how to do this, right?" And so then I wasn't doing something what I needed to do. That's how I figured this out. I figured out what the problem was because I was wasting my energy from me spending my time figuring out what happens at that support level because I trade around it quite a bit. Okay, That's one of the setups that I have. I trade around. I trade around that support area. Okay, because I want to know what happens to it so that I can make decisions. Because if it does in a certain way, it has certain uh, characteristics. The price action has certain characteristics that behaves that allows me to make a decision whether it's going back up or whether it's going to go through or whether it's going to come back down and come back up, or whatever it is. There's a lot of action that's going on around there. Okay, so that's where the action occurs. So I haven't delved into that area because I was so addicted to that ring. That ring. I was polishing it. I was polishing it. Oh, look at this ring. Oh my God. Here, let me put $1,000,000 on it. Gone. My house is gone. My car is gone. My life is gone. That's addiction. So, how did I figure this out? I figured out that I need to be studying more. But because I was spending time in a morphine drip, the chemical reaction that's inside my body, I was addicted to it. Okay? And so it was preoccupying my mind. I was tired. I was drinking coffee. I was stoking it. I was like keeping it alive. That's the addiction. And then I want to understand a little more, but I couldn't get there because of this thing. This thing is called addiction. It was dragging me. I was dragging it around. And I couldn't get to where I want to go. Now I understand. And you can't blame anybody for not being able to. You cannot blame anybody for not being able to uh, talk to another person because they're living inside a bubble, and so no matter what you do, it's difficult to do. And I certainly don't. It's like Ukraine, okay? Ukraine and Russia are in war, okay? And Ukraine is in a bubble. There's European countries who are around them, and European people don't want to wait. They don't want to. They don't want to send their soldiers to die. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. Sure, they'll help out. Okay, sure they'll help out, but it's not their war. Okay, sure they say, "Hey, we're your friend." Okay, we are the European Union. Okay, it's like so they can send some arms, but the people who are dying are Ukrainians, not the Europeans. So they're sympathetic, but they're not going to get involved. They're not gonna risk the prime ministers and the presidents there. They don't want to get involved in war. That's why Trump. I'll tell you what. If U.S. got involved, Russia would be defeated immediately. If the U.S. got involved, Russia would be immediately defeated because Pentagon already has a plan. But Trump does not want to do that. He's smart. He's smart. If he went into war, the Republicans would lose. The Republicans would lose the elections. That's why he's very, very smart. The right thing to do is defeat Russia, the aggressor. But they can't do that because we don't want to get involved because it would be a mess on a political basis, right? So that's why even like there's a see, I'm a Catholic, thank God, okay? So there's this Bishop Barron, okay? Bishop Barron says this. Now he says this. If you are unwilling to uh if you are unwilling to get involved, don't help. If you're unwilling to get involved, don't help. What he's saying is this. Um, what he's saying is this. Okay, when a person on the street is beaten by thugs and left to die, and you walk by, hey, and say, hey, do you need some help? But if you just go by, then that's defeating the whole purpose. Don't say that. Just walk by, like the other priest that does walk by, right? Because if you're unwilling to get involved, just walk by. That's what he says. But if you're willing to get involved, help out. Okay? Ask them, hey, are you doing all right? Can I get you something? Okay? It's time out of your life to help out, right? That's what Europe is doing. So then how did I figure this out? I figured out that I want to do this, but I can't do this because something was dragging me back. Something that is me. Okay, something was dragging my all this time. 5 years of my life was being dragged into whatever this thing is, so that I can make progressions of progress towards achieving the objective that I have, which is to understand precisely what I'm doing, enhance it, so that I could finally flip that switch. Okay, flip that switch, so that I can become a profitable on a consistent basis. Okay, that's what happens. There's a curve, right? Massive loss, small loss, small loss, small loss, big gains, right? That's where I break free. It's like breaking out of the orbit, Earth's gravity, and going into Mars, kind of thing, right? So I found out just today what was at the core, the reason why I wasn't able to be profitable. It was because of that addiction that was causing me to spend my time stoking that addiction, that chemical. I was like, it's like there's two insects that live in a tree. One of them is leafcutter ants, okay, and there's this little bug that secretes a little sugary water out of its butt, okay, and what it does, it eats the leaves. But these ants will uh, will not bother that ant, because the ants will eat the sugar and bring it to its hives, and it's useful. But the bug is eating the leaves. Okay, that's how they're able to like do that. So why am I on that subject matter? So get back to the point is getting back to the point is trading is about ever progression. Okay, just like being a chess player. It's an ever increasing thing where I become where I grow as a trader. Okay, and I can only do that when I burst out of that bubble called addiction, and then I move into an area where I'm making a progress. Okay, and people who know and people who don't, it's like it's like being a Christian and not being a Christian. Okay, it's like being a Christian and not being a Christian. Okay, people who are not Christians are living in a bubble because they're able to not accept. They're unable to accept the fact that Jesus Christ is God. Okay, all right. So they still keep it in there. They toss their money out. That's why in the Bible they talk about this rich man. Rich man, it is easier for the camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. That's a prime example. Yeah, my trading buddy told me this. This guy was an X-trade and says, "Hey, I lost 1 million bucks." Was it? No, he said he lost 10 million bucks in a week, right? Because they don't know how to trade. They don't know how to trade. Okay, maybe they have $1 billion in 10 million, but chances are it's not. 10 million is probably their whole bankroll. Okay, so here's that situation. Okay, so now I see. Now I can focus on what I need to do, because I was spending most of my time, 5 years. It was the practice. The practice. I spent 5 years accumulating, journaling. Okay, in my mind, I was journaling all these things. Now I'm putting things together, and some of these things don't match up. Okay, why did I lose money when I did that? Why? Why did I make money when I do that? Okay, then I'm thinking to myself, and why am I keep doing the things that I'm doing? Okay, so it's people who are right next to me who are like, they're profitable. They know this, but they can't tell me. They cannot tell me because I won't understand it. It's something that I will not understand what they're talking about, because I have this very thick addictive wall that's blocking me from them. They're trying, but they can't get involved too much because they can't, because it is so energy intensive to drag somebody out of that situation into the reality of what trading really is about. Okay, it's about taking statistically positive. It's about trading a statistically positive statistical probability on the positive side in order to accumulate. more so than lose. Losing is part of the thing, but winning has to be a bigger amount. And that can only occur when a deeper understanding of the particular trade that I'm taking to master it so that I can place that into certain market conditions to make the money. That's how it works. Okay? That is how I was able to see myself and take myself out of the bubble. I hope this helps.